Welcome to the Inside Scoop with Joann and Kelly. Now consider this short chat a friendly Friday bonus where they will share the inside scoop on some of their favorite things in the creative world. From fashion, travel, art, and product recommendations. Inquiring minds get ready because Joann and Kelly are happy to share.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is the Inside Scoop. And today we are talking about summer reading recommendations. So we hope that you're all listening to us on a beach somewhere, or you're going to make time for a vacation this summer. But first and foremost, please make time to read. And if you haven't listened to our other episode 180, we gave you some other great reading recommendations as well, but we're going to give you some serious and some thrillers and some great books to read on vacation.
Yep.
But first, read that quote that you just found lately.
I found this
Recently.
So it was on Instagram, and it said, "That's the thing about books; they let you travel without moving your feet," and that is by Jhumpa Lahiri. But that is so true when you think about it. It's so true because it can take you other places.
Yes.
I love that.
Which applies to our first book that I'm going to recommend. And it is The Women by Kristen Hanna. And if you've read the famous book, The Nightingale, then you know what a great writer she is. And if you haven't read The Nightingale, you must go read it.
I think it's my all-time
ASAP.
My all-time favorite book.
Yeah.
I think it is, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but this is a little bit of a different spin. It's a historical fiction again. And this one is about women heroes during the Vietnam War. And I'd never read much. I read so much about World War II, but I'd never read anything really about the Vietnam War. And it's the story of this girl who she's living this idyllic life in California with these very conservative parents who think that, she just has to get married and have babies. And her brother goes off to war, and she really feels like she has to do something. So she signs up for the Army Nurse Corps. And it's so insightful. And you realize these women back during the Vietnam War, they were on the front lines. They were working 20 hours a day. They were saving lives left and right. They were just as much heroes as the men that were on the front lines. And it's a beautiful, beautiful story of her journey. It's a love story. It's a story of friendship and women and the power of women. And it's probably one of my top 3 books I've ever read.
I've heard several people on social media say it was one of their favorite books. I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Yeah.
There's so many books in so little time.
I know.
Okay, so one of my favorites, it's called How Luck Happens, Using the Science of Luck to Transform Work, Love, and Life. And it's a couple that he's a psychologist, and I don't even remember what she did, but they kind of use the science and they interview a lot of people and they talk about why some people are luckier than others. But there is so much science revealing that if you put yourself in certain places to be lucky, then luck will happen. Like you can't sit at home on your couch and get lucky. You have to be out at events, meeting people, talking to people to get yourself to meet somebody that will somehow in some way make you lucky in a certain way. A great read.
They interview some very famous people in that book I read, and and this is actually their second book I read. They wrote The Grateful Diaries.
I didn't read that one,
and that sounded good to me.
I didn't read that one.
Yeah,
I forgot who talked about this, and then I was like, oh, I have to go get that. So anyway, it's a really good one.
Yeah. All right. If you're on the beach and you want something a little bit lighter and quicker than these two, then I highly recommend The Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth. And I read this in 24 hours. It's the story of 3 girls who were raised in foster care with an evil, awful foster mom. And they've grown up and now they have lives of their own, but each of them gets a phone call from a detective who is researching bones found underneath the previous home that they lived in with this evil foster mom. So they all come back to town to figure out whose bones those are.
This sounds very juicy.
Yes. I mean,
very juicy.
My daughter Emery, who's my fellow reader, recommended it, and I'm telling you, I read it in
Yeah.
24 hours. So it's the perfect beach book.
Yeah. And I love the psychological thrillers.
Yeah.
I read this one very quickly as well. It's called Never Lie.
Yes. Then I read it
By
because
Frida
I had
McFadden
to.
because I kept telling you about it.
Mhm.
So it's this, I'll give you just a little bit. So a married couple that gets stranded in this snowstorm and they're going to look at a home that's on the market. But the woman who owned the home was a very famous psychiatrist
Mhm.
who had gone missing like 3 years before that. So many crazy things happen. It's one of those, the ending, you could have never figured it out.
Yeah.
So anyway, Never Lie. It's a juicy one.
Oh, it's so good.
And-
yeah. I like I said in our other episode 180 where we gave book recommendations, giving a good book recommendation to somebody literally is like I said, handing you hours of entertainment on a silver platter as a gift. This is my gift to you for you to just go immerse yourself in a new world and put everything aside and go just curl up and read.
If I'm in the middle of a good book, like,
don't talk to me.
As soon as I leave work, I'm thinking about when I'm going to read that book next. It's just something to look forward to, actually. Yeah. Sometimes I hate when they're over, but.
Oh, I always hate when they're over because then I'm still thinking about the characters and like, I wonder what they're doing today. I wonder what's happening. I'm like, oh, I finished it. Dang.
And some of them you think about for a really long time.
Yeah.
Those are the really good ones.
Yeah.
Well, okay, everybody, that is the Inside Scoop.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for joining Joann and Kelly for this fun sidebar chat. We hope you learned a thing or two and will share with your friends. Listen to the Inside Scoop every other Friday and feel free to reach out to them anytime at Kandrac-Kole.com.